eclipse day, but the weather is not really cooperating all that much with optimal viewing. We are certainly going to be fighting some clouds here in Houston, and that's going to be the case for parts of the state as well. We'll take a look outside with our tower cam that's right in front of our TV station. That's I-69 there on the very bottom of the screen, and looking back towards the downtown Houston area. You're seeing a few buildings there, but normally we could even see clearer as we move back. This is, again, going to be tough to sort of see the sun and the disappearance of the sun behind the moon with this total solar eclipse happening for parts of the state of Texas. But even here in Houston, we were expecting a fairly full partial eclipse for sure was our expectations. And it's still going to be happening. It's just going to be that we're not going to be able to see it because of the clouds that we're going to be fighting kind of moving through. So as you're looking outside right now, it's these low-level clouds that are really going to be causing the biggest problems for us. Some upper-level, higher-level clouds, the cirrus clouds, those actually might even make things look a little bit more dramatic if you had just that to deal with. But down here, lower, closer to the surface, and again, we're even getting some of these tops of these buildings that are blocked off. That's certainly going to make for difficult viewing. Not impossible. I think there's a little bit of a break or so that maybe somebody might be able to see, but it's certainly not going to be favored. Again, with all the planning that's gone into today, I think it's definitely going to be a disappointment for a lot of folks here in the Houston area and across for parts of the state as well. So let's dive into some of our graphics here, looking at our Futurecast. This is going to be basically for this afternoon from about 1 to 3. Our rain chances are going to be increasing. You'll see those showers and storms kind of popping up a little bit more. And generally speaking, I would say that the rain chances increase after the eclipse. But, you know, before you see the rain, you're typically going to be socked in with some clouds. And that's certainly going to be our case that we're going to be looking at as we're looking for the rest of this afternoon and what those expectations are. But for us here in Houston, let's talk about the expectations, because you will notice some changes happening during the eclipse. It's just that you're not going to be able to actually see the moon and the sun itself. So we're expecting in Houston a 94.2% coverage, that partial coverage. That's pretty full, but again, partial coverage. Expect to start noticing changes around 12:30, officially 12:20 is when this is going to begin. But again, because of the clouds, I don't think we're going to perceive it as quickly. Our peak is about 1:40 p.m. and then around 3 o'clock is when everything should kind of be over. So what my expectations are with all the clouds that we're having across the area is it's going to seem like a really nasty thunderstorm is rolling in. But it's not dark, scary clouds that are taking away our sunlight. It's the fact that the moon is moving in and blocking our sunlight. So I think that's what's going to be kind of perceived across the Houston area, just that feeling of darkness. And normally you would associate that with a very strong thunderstorm that might be in the area. And that's not going to be the case, where we're certainly going to look for some storms later on, but I think it's just sort of giving that same vibe, that kind of same feeling that you would normally expect. Here's our Futurecast again. We're going to be looking at clouds and rain. I kind of got a pause here real quick, sort of the close-up of Houston right about that 1:30 mark. We mentioned 1:40 is the peak. So now let's back up real quick and we'll take a look at how that shadow of the moon moving across the state of Texas. You'll notice the rain chances are lower further in the hill country in central Texas, but certainly cloud cover is going to be expected. Those upper level clouds might be something that will be seen through, but a lot of folks sort of wrestling those clouds throughout the state. When you get north towards Dallas and even north in Tyler and further up into Arkansas, the forecast is better. And then a few more clouds once we get back to the Ohio Valley region and then up into the northeast and New England. And then eventually, when you get all the way up into Maine, you'll see the corner there. That's actually a pretty good looking forecast. I've got several meteorologists that I follow who just have bailed out on all hopes of everything else and gone to Maine. So I think that's going to be the best viewing for our entire country is concerned. Now here's something that I'm certainly a bit worried about is when everybody's trying to get home in the state of Texas today, because I do think these storms are going to ramp up in the afternoon hours. And notice from the Storm Prediction Center, this is for today, we're looking at a level 3, that likelihood of seeing severe storms up to the east, to the west of Dallas. But even if you're trying to drive home from, let's just say, Tyler or Dallas area back to Houston, you're driving through a large region that could see severe storms with that 2 out of 5 threat. So make sure you're communicating with all your loved ones, your folks that you know out who are traveling today, to make sure that they're aware of the storms that are going to be across the area. A little bit of more of a focus on where we're expecting the hail with this particular threat. I think hail and strong winds are the biggest severe threat that we're concerned with. And you can see again, west of Dallas over towards Abilene, that is where the highest chances of the hail are going to be, but even some slight chances all the way down here into the Houston area as well. Now, here's something else to be aware of. Let's not get too caught up in today that we forget about tomorrow, because we have already labeled Tuesday, especially late in the day Tuesday, as a storm alert day, because we are looking for higher chances of severe storms across the Houston area. This again is the Storm Prediction Center outlook for tomorrow, and notice how we've moved that 3 out of 5 threat, that increased chances of severe storms for much of the Houston area, about half, the northern half of the viewing area, and then the rest of us are still in that 2 out of 5 threat to see a severe storm. So all of the potential is there as far as the threats. Slight chance for tornado, but certainly the damaging winds and the hail are also something for tomorrow that we're going to be concerned with. As we get a closer look into the radar right now across the Houston area, I was driving in about an hour ago to work, and it was one of those situations where it was a heavy drizzle. I was trying to get the windshield wipers right. It was not going really well as far as getting that perfect intermittent point, because it was heavier at times and lighter. It's just a kind of a mess out there for sure is what we're looking. And our radar doesn't always pick up on all that drizzle very well. And certainly we're not trying to show clouds, but we know that it's pretty overcast, and we also know that there is some definitely measurable rain sort of moving in from the Gulf. That front that moved in yesterday and stalled is now more or less backing up across the state of Texas, and as it does so, it brings those rain chances. But even all those great pictures that we've seen out of the hill country this morning with some bright skies, it's going to continue to lessen a little bit. We look at our satellite view here of our cloud cover, and you'll notice those clouds are slowly increasing, filling in back in across central Texas and the hill country. So I'm not saying it's going to be a washout for those folks, but those pretty decent looking conditions right now are expected to deteriorate slightly as we get into the eclipse. So we're about an hour away, a couple hours away from the peak of the eclipse here in Houston. And so we'll continue to kind of watch the clouds build in a little bit. Hopefully it's just going to be those upper level, those cirrus, those high level clouds, still being able to see the moon and the sun as they cross their paths. But we'll just sort of have to watch those reports. We, of course, are going to have complete coverage all across the state of Texas starting at noon today. So make sure that you're back here at noon. Our normal noon newscast is going to be put aside for today, and we're going to have all things eclipse. We've got, I'm trying to remember where we've got everybody. We've got folks in Waco. I know Melissa Wilson is there. Allison Gargaro, she's over in the Fredericksburg area. We've got folks across the Houston area as well. So again, across the state, we're going to be tapping in to the Fox Weather meteorologists. Fox Weather, of course, the national weather entity. They've got folks all across the nation, so we'll be able to kind of get peeks in from other parts of the country as well. So again, starting at noon all the way through 2 o'clock, we'll have broadcasting our special here on the eclipse, and then we extend that coverage on Fox Local from 2 until 4. So that's again going to take care of what I wanted to say as far as the satellites are concerned. I do want to show you the 7-day forecast briefly here before we go, because again with our 7-day forecast we're able to kind of put this together and say rain chances are today, they increase as they move through the afternoon, high chances of rain, and not just rain but stormy weather tomorrow. The confidence is not there as far as when the severe storms could be. It could be in the morning, could be in the afternoon. We're just going to be prepared for most of the day, but that final push of storms will happen Tuesday night. So our rain chances on Wednesday should be about done by lunchtime. I think once we get past lunch on Wednesday, you'll notice how great Thursday and Friday look. That really starts to transform and take place Wednesday afternoon, and then we are left again with some really great looking days on Thursday and Friday. All right, looks like we've got about 20 minutes until noon. Make sure, however you're watching me right now, you're back here in about 20 minutes for the Fox 26 Solar Eclipse special here for 2024. We'll keep you updated on what's going on across Houston, across Texas, and even checking in across the nation. We'll see you in about 20 minutes.
And Steve says,